Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. Thought I'd bring you another lumber update video. Now, I know I just did one yesterday, and I probably should have postponed that video till today so that I could incorporate this information into it, but I didn't, so you get two lumber videos in a row. Many of you know that I get an email once a week kind of giving us an idea on what's taking place across the nation in the different regions. And most of this has to do with what's going on at the mills, basically mill order files, how far out they are, how much they're going for, where the demand is. And up until just recently, like I would say up until about a month ago, it has been the same thing over and over again. Short supply, order files are 2 months out, and the prices just keep going up every day. That was pretty much the typical story up until about a month ago. Now it's starting to shift, and you can see that things are really starting to become more available throughout the different regions inside of the nation. Listen to this. Western SPF, 3 weeks in a row of price discovery and steep counters in the Western SPF as mill order files range from prompt to 2 weeks out. You hear that? So you can call up a mill and you can get your order right away or within the next 2 weeks. That is good news. That is so much better than we have experienced over the last 6 months. I couldn't tell you how good of news that really is to hear. It goes on to say, demand from home builders is still strong as distribution inventories, while building as of late are still considered light. So even though that the availability from the mill is becoming more prevalent, more online, the inventory levels out there in the distribution networks is still very low. But you see the shift is starting to take place. The mills are becoming more available, and the inventories, although are light, are starting to build. Eastern SPF. SPF stands for spruce pine fir, by the way. Eastern SPF, a chaotic trading week in Eastern SPF. Producers opened to hefty counters for 6/21 or sooner shipments. See that? Within the next 10 days, if you're going to take a delivery, they're open to heavy counters. That's something to think about. That means the mills are starting to build up and they're thinking, okay, we need to get this stuff out of here. And they're opened up to taking, here's our offer. What do you want to buy it for, kind of thing. Right? Buyers eyed the July futures deep discount to cash and stayed on the sidelines. That's exactly what I was saying there. Like the people who are buying saying, we got a little bit of inventory here. We don't really need any more as of right now. The order files, like you can almost get it immediately, and the price that you're charging for it are higher than what the July contract is going for. Maybe we'll just wait to see how this July contract gets, how much closer we get to that. Because if we can get it for a discount here by waiting a couple of weeks, we might just do that. And that's what a lot of people are starting to feel. If that starts to becoming more of the common theme, the mills are going to drop their prices dramatically. And you're going to see the futures contracts dump out. All right, let's continue on here. Southern pine. The southern pine, this is the big one. This is where all the mills are starting to set up as far as the availability of trees go. They're starting to move down into the southern area. So let's see here. Buyers continue to exercise caution as the pine market corrects in large chunks. Hand-to-mouth buying was about the only activity witnessed this week. Confidence exists in the PTS deals. Loads will price the Friday prior to ship and include favorable discounts to print. Green dimensional. Green Doug fir prices remained flat this week as sales momentum slowed down. Mills were hesitant to drop prices as some items, namely 2x8, were still difficult to buy, and most still had order files a couple of weeks out, with a few prompt offerings sprinkled in. So the availability is definitely coming back to the lumber industry. Plywood, not so much. The plywood industry is still incredibly tight supply. And now this is a critical component to building. Now, if you're familiar with new construction, then you would know that the sheathing is like the exterior skin that goes on the building before all the doors and windows and siding goes in. It's a critical component to building. Without it, you will not be able to continue your project. So the plywood shortage is very prevalent and still creating issues within the new construction market. But the framing lumber of things, that is starting to ease up, and that's starting to become more available, and it's only a matter of time before we start seeing the retail prices reflecting that availability and downturn in the futures prices. Again, like I've talked about this many times in the past, it's going to take some time. Everything out there right now in the pipeline is all very expensive lumber, and it's going to take a while for that to work its way through. But you can see it, you can hear it from the mills, you can see it in the futures price. And if you go down to your local lumber yard right now, you would probably find that there's not a lot of people down there doing their normal weekend projects like you would typically anticipate from the summer weekends. People have been locked down for the last year and have done all those projects. There is no more shelves to build, there's no more repairs to be done, there's no more decks to build. All those pent-up projects from years of being delayed came through last year. Now, everybody wants to go out and enjoy themselves. They do not want to be working on their home. And you can see it. I can see it every day in the job where I work. I work retail lumber. Builders are still there. They're still picking up their framing materials. They're still coming in to get their hardwares and their pieces that they need to work that day. But as far as like the weekend warrior, the guy who rounds up his buddies for the weekend so they can bust out a deck, the new deck on the house, those projects aren't there. It's like people coming in to do repairs. There is the occasional person who is biting the bullet because they are tired of waiting to do their project, but those people are very few and far between. And then there's some of the builders are out there who are still working on their homes that they have started. Once you start a framing, you can pour a foundation and sit on it and wait. But once you start that project, once you start rolling joists out, it's on. You got to go, and it's going to continue to go until the house is completed. There is no hesitating or stopping in that. If you do, that project begins to deteriorate. So it is an absolute must that once that project has started, once a house project has started, that you have to continue on with it, regardless of the prices out there. But it doesn't mean that you need to start new. And although a lot of people might argue with me about how many new projects are starting out there, give it some time, and you're going to see that although what you are witnessing out there are projects that have already been in motion, that can't slow down, they can't stop, they have to continue on. But what you're going to find here as time goes on is that people are not going to be starting as many new projects. The prices are just far too high for them to jump into it. As we see those prices start to come down, the project momentum will begin to pick up. There are pent-up projects right now that will come through. It will almost be as if it's a flood once the prices become somewhat of a new normal, because I just don't see them going back down to what we would have considered a normal in the past, like a $3.50 stud or a $2.50 stud. I don't see that happening anymore with the 2x4/8s. $4 or $5 a stud, that might be our new normal. I don't know that for sure. I couldn't tell you where these prices are going to end up. I just know what, from my experience and from all the years that I have worked at lumber yards, this is the time of year that we should be very busy on the weekends. And it's not. There are customers, they're still coming through. I mean, there are always going to be projects to be done. There's always going to be repairs to do. But that push of summertime projects, I don't see it this year. People are going out and enjoying restaurants. They're enjoying their, going out to vacation. They are not wanting to work on their homes. All right. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.